Hey Sainers, welcome back to another Saints TV video. Round one is a week away now, so it's Thursday night. Next Friday night, we're taking on the Pies. And just to kind of lead in to the big round one clash, I've got some pretty dedicated Sainers that are joining me on a nice Thursday night. I'm sure there's better things that they could be doing, but they're on a stream with me and they're going to be talking some Saints footy. So let's get straight into it. We've got Jack, Catherine, Nathan, Matt, and a few others that will be joining us. So we'll get them on and they can give us their thoughts. Not my thoughts at all. It's all your thoughts. You come on, you tell me if you're excited or you're nervous, and we'll discuss it. So let's get Jack on. We'll start off with Jack.
Yeah, good day.
How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, that's pretty good Thursday night. Been a bit of a busy day at work, but pretty excited for the footy. Are you pumped up for the footy next week?
Yeah, I think so. I think with our run of games to start with, especially against the Pies, who I think will be towards the bottom, after last season, it's a time where we can make a statement over what we want to achieve this year.
Yep.
We're not facing a Melbourne, we're not facing, a Brisbane. We can put ourselves in a good position. So I think the delusional Saints fan of me is pretty excited.
Yeah, I think most Saints fans should be excited. Some aren't. What are you most excited about with the footy? I mean, there's players and games to look forward to, but what's number one on the list?
As I hate saying this, but the injuries to Billings and Hunter Clark have opened up the positions for Wanganeen Malira and Machito Owens to come in. And I think if we're going to take anything, a role model, we should look at Port Adelaide with what they did with Butters and Dersma and Rosie. And these guys are our future. And no matter what happens this season, these guys are going to be around. So those guys coming in really has me excited to see what's going to happen for the next 5 years. Are these guys going to be the guys that, turn us into a next level team in 2 years? They might not be, but finding that out is something that I'm really excited for.
Are you nervous at all with our midfield and how that's looking? Because a lot of the reports are, Saints backline's pretty good, forward line's pretty exciting on paper, but the midfield, the support for Steely, do you still feel like that's a weakness?
With Jones out on personal leave for however long, I hope he's okay, but no, because I feel like we're better than a lot of people give us credit for. I feel like over the last year we've had injuries and we've been written off, and other teams that have had injuries have just been given that excuse, and we haven't been. I feel like with what we showed last week against a good opposition that I'm not that nervous, but you never know.
Yep. And today the news, the Ben King news that came out, not really related to the season, but that could have been a big talking point. Are you disappointed, or are you happy that it's out of the way and we can just focus on playing games?
I've had 3 weeks to get used to that news because
You've had 3 weeks, yeah.
as soon as he did that injury, my dad actually said, "Well, that's not bad for Gold Coast fans. It's bad for Saints fans because you can't exactly turn your back on a team who gets you through your ACL injury. You can't. There's more to just the players. There's the medical staff. There's things like that, and obviously, it's disappointing, but." It gives us the time to look in-house or to look to the draft or to look to other people who come out of contract. So, and history has proven, 200-centimeter forwards have never really worked well together before. And I think that as Saints fans, it's so romantic to think about two brothers in the forward line bringing us a premiership that we get blinded to the fact that two big targets has never really worked that well. So, we're probably lacking someone who's 196, 197 centimeters anyway. So if we can go to, find someone else who's that size, it might end up being really good for us. And Ben has a great career at Gold Coast.
Yep. And I mean, forward line, tall forwards at least probably aren't our focus because we've got King, we've got Membry, Marshall, Do you think if we are to take that next step, and whether we go top 8 or even top 4, it's going to be because of the tools, getting Marshall, particularly Paddy Ryder, on the park for most of the year? Is that the key?
I think Paddy Ryder is probably our most, may not be our best player. I think our best player is Steele, and most important is probably still belongs to Steele. But after that, I think it is Paddy Ryder. You look at the win percentage with Paddy Ryder versus against, the stuff he does all over the ground. He's just getting him in there, but it's also more about, this is probably Paddy's last year, regardless of what happens. We could win the grand final and Paddy will be out. We could finish 9th and Paddy will be out. He's 34, 35 at this point. I think that it's more about finding Paddy Ryder, but also finding the next ruckman that we could have, because Paul Hunter last year wasn't it. I think Campbell is he's a good football player because he's played 50 games of AFL footy. That's fantastic, but he's kind of in that sort of range of not really sure. And it's more about also finding if the coaching staff will be able to say, okay, maybe Rowan Marshall is not going to be a forward ruckman. Maybe he's just going to be a ruckman. And if we have to do that, then we have to find another forward who can fill in for Rowan Marshall's time.
Would that be someone like Jack Hayes, do you think? Do you reckon he played a bit in the ruck against the Bombers? Did you like that?
See, I love Jack Hayes, but I also love John O'Marsh. So I love those kind of guys who just fill in the forward line. I thought Jack Hayes, the rundown tackle wasn't great, but every good team has a forward who looks like he's going to run through anybody, no matter what, who can pinch it at the ruck. Jack Hayes has got the beautiful thing of he hasn't walked into an AFL team. He hasn't been told how good he is from the age of 12 years old. He's had to work for it. So when the ball hits the ground, he's jumping on it. He's trying to get the hand. He only had 12 touches, but I think he got his hands on the footy a lot more than that. And I don't know if he's going to kick, 28 goals, even 20, but I think that he could provide some really useful work. But I still think in the off season we should target sort of mid-sized forward. I know Wiedemann's is in contract at Melbourne now, but someone like him who's 197 centimetres, who offers marking targets, who can be a second forward, that's the type of guy we need, even with Hayes having a great season. Just as sort of that second sort of, 6 centimetres shorter than the next tall forward. Because remember, he's only 190, and despite his leap, we need someone to fill in that sort of role.
Yeah, good points. Give me the player that you're most excited about for the year, and then we'll end it on where you think we'll finish on the ladder.
I'm going to go with Mitch Owens, just because I was listening to Jack Steele on the Dylan Buckley podcast, and Jack Steele started talking about Mitch Owens and was saying, he's taller than me, he's stronger than me, he's faster than me. When Jack Steele's saying that, then that's pretty good praise. And it's also, I don't know, we just missed a tall midfielder. Someone who's 192 centimetres. It's always been something that the AFL has loved, and it's been productive. And we've always kind of had, everyone's been 180 to 188, and that's it.
Yep.
In terms of where we finish, I think a lot of people will say, oh, your goal is always to win a premiership. And I think that's not true, because I think that after last year, we should finish between 8th and 5th and just say to the rest of the league, okay, last year was bad. We had our injuries, but we're back now. We're going to contend in a couple of years' time, but we need to finish in that place. Win a final would be fantastic. Make a prelim would be the best thing that could happen. Amazing. But even if we don't, even if we finish in the top 8 in that 8 to 5 region, that's a successful season for me.
Yeah, just a final in Melbourne would be ridiculous to get the Saints fan. Even if it's at Marvel, I wouldn't care. Just to have that feeling again of like, I'm actually part of the big deal now.
I'm moving away from the country before finals, so I will be missing out regardless of where it is.
Oh,
so
bad luck.
But it's, what, as long as we make finals, that's what's important.
Exactly right. Well, I'll leave it there, Jack. Thanks a lot for your thoughts.
No worries.
Hopefully we have a big year.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, mate.
Big fan. Thank you.
Thanks. All righty, we'll get Matt up now. He's been on the side of the road for a little bit there, Matt. You all right?
Yeah, all good, mate. Just parked up on Scarborough Beach Road.
Yeah, beautiful. Give me your thoughts. How you feeling?
It was all well and good until the same old story with injuries happened in the game v Essendon. Billings going down, Hunter Clark going down. I would have been perfect for Clark to slot into to Jones's spot in the guts, but looks like that's not going to happen, at least for the first 4 to 6, and you never know, Jones could be back by then. So yeah, the pessimist in me says it's going to be the same old, top of the bottom 8 finish again, but the optimist in me says if all the stars line up and all the we play our cards right, we could be looking at somewhere in the 5th or 6th position. But who's to say now?
What you mentioned, things need to line up. Obviously, injuries never lines up for us. That just, you don't even really worry about that because we're never going to have a good preseason without some injuries. That's our luck. What are the key 3 things that we need to tick? The 3 big boxes that need to be ticked for us to be like, yeah, we've made, even if we don't make finals, but we're on the right path. We're actually growing as a team and we're ready to take that next step.
Yeah, I think the main thing is somebody needs to stand up in the guts to accompany Steele. Like, you'd think Brad Crouch should be that fella. He's averaging 30 touches a game and 5 or 6 tackles. Like, there's not much more you can do. Maybe, I don't know, polish it up a little bit. But I'd certainly rate Brad Crouch. I rated him at the Crows. He was averaging like 110 fantasy. And so, you can look at fantasy with a grain of salt, but he's a very good player. If he can take that next level, then I think that's the main thing. You look at Melbourne, who are probably close to one of the best football teams I've seen in my life, in my 30 years. I'd rate them up there with the Hawks, with the Lions. And that's driven by their engine room, by their Petrarca, by their Oliver, by Maxi Gawn. And we're not close to that yet, unfortunately. We've got one piece of that puzzle. Marshall's nearly there. But then that at a midfielder would really, really help out. I think the game plan where, that Bombers game, we're still just bombing it in there when it gets a bit tough. And that's all well and good when you got Max King there and you got Membry there who can jump. And that's all well and good when it's the first quarter and you've got Butler and Higgins and those boys on fire. But then, how many touches did the rest of those fellas get for the remainder of the game? When the Bombers were coming back and when we nearly lost it at the end, they were nowhere to be seen. So if we're just bombing it in, like I remember there was a passage of play, I think it might have been King. He got the ball, he took a nice mark on the half-forward flank, and then he just banged it in there to nobody in particular, and they rebounded, and that was it. So if we keep on banging it in without a thought, then we're in trouble there. And I like the move of Josh Battle to centre-half back. I think that plugs a hole. He was just wandering about, not knowing what he was doing for the last few seasons. Now he's got a spot there, which hopefully he can hold down. He can't remember who he played on in the first practice match before the Bombers, but he towed him up, whoever it was. I reckon it was Charlie Curnow. He smashed him, and he had a pretty good game. I think he wasn't on Peter Wright, which was lucky. I think Dougal got a bit of a touch up, but Peter Wright played a ripper. But yeah, I've been very impressed with Battle. So if we lock down that centre half back spot, I think Benny Patton will really shore us up. We really missed him last year. So if Patton gets through, he can lock down the Charlie Camerons, the Connor Rosies, the absolute, dynamite small forwards of the comp, then, you saw whether Geary gets a spot, you saw what he did to, I think it was Johannesson maybe. He really locked down someone in that final. We beat the Bulldogs, and you get somebody like that back in the side, and that makes a world of difference.
Absolutely. And Seb Ross, is he playing round 1? Would he be in your best 22 based on his preseason?
I think he floats between the interchange and the emergency for me, if everybody's available. But I think now that we're a bit lacking with our midfield depth, I'd say he probably does. There's rumours he was close to leaving us at the end of the year. Whether that was true, I'd say it probably was, but you never know. He's as close to a club legend as you can get. I remember a few years ago I said he was better than Job. But Job's won a Brownlow with an asterisk on it, but still he's won a Brownlow, and Seb hasn't come close to that. So we won't draw that comparison anymore. But, I've always rated Seb, and these last few years, he is getting a bit, long in the tooth. But he's still got a spot in this midfield if our injuries continue to hurt us, and, that Hunter Clark style, he can't move in there. And then I don't think we're historically too good with blooding our first-year players. I know Ryan Burns got a fair crack at it last year, which was good to see, and he broke in quite nicely. I think Wanganeen Miller and Mitchie Owens, they might take a little while to develop. I don't think they're ready for a game this year, but you never know. We could be flying, and you could blood them for a little bit and see how we go.
I find that interesting. I actually think there's a cheeky chance that one of Owens, Winhager, or Malira will play round one. I don't know which one yet, but I just have a weird feeling that because of Clark being out, Jones being out, just having some big body, at least with Winhager and Owens, they're capable. They can come in. They're not the smallest players. Malira, he's on the leaner side, but he doesn't play a tough game. He just needs to be on the outside. And that actually does bring up Brad Hill and his preseason, particularly the Essendon game. Everyone's, the last couple of years, rightly so, he's been a bit disappointing with what the build-up when we got him. Are you excited by what you saw in the Essendon game, the run that he had? He seemed to have a bit more drive. Do you think he's ready for a big year?
Yeah, I guess, moving him to half-back, it's a good idea, but I think, again, Billings out, he's going to go forward. Again, with all the positional changes we're going to cop, you'd think probably with Hunter Clark going out, he'll sit at that half-back flank. I think Sinclair's probably made that spot more of his own, and with Jimmy Webster's sort of resurgence again, I think there's a spot there for Brad, but he'll probably spend a bit of time on the wing as well as half-back. But look, with a fellow with his sort of skill set, with his resume of 3 flags and the dominant year he had at Freo just before, over here in the West, he was, he was a superstar. And you just hope, on a big money deal, money's irrelevant in this sort of thing, but you'd want to hope, it was promising, but again, it's pre-season. Jack Steele didn't have an enormous game, but you expect him to have an enormous game, close to every round. So you take your pre-season games with a grain of salt, but it was a good hit out for Bradley, and you'd hope that he really showcases a bit more of that this year, because if he's up and going, he's that link. He's the one who can stop us just bombing it in there. He's the one who can hit that target, and get us 30 metres out straight in front for a nice easy one.
Yeah. All right. Give me the player, apart from Steele, obviously, that you're most looking forward to seeing at the footy, and who's ready for a big year, and then ladder position. End it on that. Let me know.
I'm extraordinarily excited about Max King. I know that could be everyone's second, option, but the way the fella just jumps at the ball, takes it at the highest point, the way he just draws a crowd and yet somehow still can find space or take a pack mark, I think he is absolutely exceptional. Every time he goes near the ball, I get excited. So I'm really, really excited to see what he can do. It's a bit of a bummer about Ben, but hey, there you go. I think we've probably got the better of the 2 King twins. But it's now time for Max to really put the gap on his brother, and I think he can really do it this year with a dominant showing. If he fires and he stays injury-free, and we have a pretty good run with injuries, we get a few back, there's no reason why we can't finish sort of 5th or 6th.
Nice.
Yeah, if on the bad side we could finish the top of the bottom 8 again, but I reckon 6th would be a pretty promising spot, and that's where I'd like us to finish. I can't say it's where we will, but it's where I'd love us to finish. Yeah,
and that's a really good position, because often teams that jump to take that next step and go into the top 4, which is where you really want to be, they're not. Yeah. They're rarely 8th. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not scraping into the 8th. They've had a pretty good year, and they're maybe a game outside the top 4 the year before, and then they just refine everything, and then they take that next step. So 6 would be great.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where I think, and like you can follow an uncharacteristic path, like, the Bulldogs when they won it in 16, they won it from 7th or something, where, let's be realistic, that's a one in a blue moon scenario. That was incredible to watch. But then you look at Melbourne, they made a prelim and got smashed by West Coast by 80 points or something over here, and then had a couple of down years, and now they're unbelievable. So
Yeah.
we're sort of following that trajectory. We didn't reach the heights of a prelim, but obviously we've made it to a semi against Richmond, got outclassed there, and then obviously had a bit of a not a great year this year. But it's our inconsistency which really hurt us, and if we improve that inconsistency, we become a bit more consistent with that. There's no reason why we can't, make it to a semi-final and even possibly take a win and make a prelim.
That'd be awesome, mate. Well, thank you for taking the time on the side of the road there. I'll let
Not a worry at
you
all.
get home and have some dinner. Thanks, Matt.
Cheers, Aggie. Cheers, mate.
See you, mate. All right. Catherine.
Hello, how are we?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm good, thank you. Shattered, you didn't say hi to me at the Essendon game, but that's fine. I'll forgive you for that.
Yeah, no, I walked past. I swear, I think it was you. I walked past him.
It would have been me.
Wasn't
You could
sure.
have said hi. We could have had a bevy. That's all right.
Yeah. How you feeling?
Yeah, good. Liked what I saw at the Essendon game. But that second half, like, we got to stop doing that. We got to stop falling off second half. But, that first, 10 minutes of the first quarter, I'm sitting there, I'm posting, I'm like, Saints, flags, 2020, here we come. Love
Jumping on the bandwagon.
Just unreal, cleanest ball play I think I've ever, I have seen in a long time. But we just fall off the radar, don't we, a little bit? And we just, I don't know what happens. I don't know if it's got something to do with our dynamic, our drive, the fact it was a practice match. I'm not really sure, but I'm just hoping that kind of surpasses, I guess. And see how we go.
What do you think that second half was more representative of just us taking it easy, or do you think that's more what we can expect? Because I've seen that last year, and even 2020 we did that sometimes, where it's like when the game was open and we could run and kick and just play Saints footy, we're having fun and winning. But the second a team like, say, Geelong or someone comes along, chips it around, and we can't get the football, it's like we get bored, or we just throw a tantrum. We're like, no, we don't want to play this way. And then we just let them bomb it in and take shot after shot.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's almost like a precedent that we've set from 2020. And it's so infuriating to watch, especially because last year, I know we only technically missed out on finals by a single game, but we had so many near misses to a win where we could have potentially ended up 6th or 7th. And I think that's just where, why it frustrates me so much, because it's that second half. Whereas, like you said, if we did play a Geelong, if it was a game against a Geelong or a Melbourne, where they probably would have utilised, Essendon are a good team, and I do think that they'll do well this year. But, those teams will utilise those open ball opportunities a lot more. And we just got lucky because we should have beaten them by a lot more, I think. It was getting close. And they missed a lot of goals. We were lucky. We were lucky about their inaccuracy, but I don't know. What did you think about Membry being a bit of a swinger between the forward line?
I rate Membry. I think he's a very, very important player for us, and if he doesn't play, you'd notice it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I think it's good that he can swing back. It just depends on who supports King when Membry's kind of floating back, because I don't like it. Sometimes it's good when it's late in a quarter, but if there's a chance to go forward, it's King on 4 blokes, because Membry's moved up the ground and he's not there to help him. So whether Sharman goes there or, I don't know, Jack Hayes can go there, we need to have a chop out. But Membry going back's awesome.
Yeah, with some height as well, because obviously we've got a relatively small forward line. If we do take Membry out, I do think he's one of the best kicks that we have in the side. Yep. So I do think it's good that he takes the kick out. I remember so vividly because I was sitting at that end of the stadium. Patton just I don't even know what Essendon player he kicked it to. And I was like, we love you, Patton. We'll forgive you because, you've had a year off. But I was like, oh, wow, what's happening with the kick outs? Because I know that Dukes has kind of taken that step back and he's not doing the kick outs anymore. So it's more of a Brad Hill kind of role now with the kick outs, and Dougal will take the occasional one. But I did like it. I don't know. I just felt like the backline felt balanced, whereas it hasn't felt like that before. Yeah.
Cool. With Battle there too. Do you enjoy seeing Battle? In the backline?
Unreal. I think he's got terrific speed. And like someone mentioned previously, he just looks like, he knows his role. And I don't blame him for feeling a bit lost and, without too much direction, previous years, because he hasn't really had that concrete position. But I am shattered about Highmore. Shattered. That broke my heart. I was like, I don't know. I just love him. I love him. I love the way he goes about things. I love that we have height down there as well. Like obviously Wilkie and Howard. You can't tell already. Howard's like definitely my favorite. Yeah. So like I love that we've got those two really strong defenders, but just keep Highmore there. Like make him our third. I don't know.
That's tough to do. I mean, you've got Dukes, Wilkie, Battle, and then you need to fit in Patton, Webster, Sinclair. D-Mac was playing at halfback, which I didn't mind. I thought that was pretty good.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
Who are you most excited about? Apart from Jack Steele and Max King, because I know those are two of the favourites. Yeah. Who's third in line? Who are you super excited to see at the footy?
Howard. I just love the way he goes about things. And I'm really excited about Owen as well, Mitch Owen. I thought he was unreal. And I liked seeing Hayes play too. Didn't realise, like when you see them in real life, it's a bit different. Like he's very built. You would have seen it as well. He's a very strong body. And that's something that we definitely lack as a team. Like we don't really have like very big built players, I would say, like compared to him. I think he'll be very exciting to see. And I want to see more of Max Heath. But
yeah, absolutely. Max Heath will be great. I think he's going to be a project again this year. And then if Paddy retires at the end of the year, maybe he'll get his crack in 2023. Give me your... I know that we want to pump up the year and be excited, but are there still a couple of things that you're concerned about going into round one, or you're pretty happy with the off-season?
I am concerned for me, and this is what worries me, especially after seeing the practice match and, like I said, that kind of like downfall that we had in the second quarter. I can't help but think it's the same old, and I want to be proven wrong. I absolutely do. I think we can make finals considering we only, lost, and obviously last year with COVID, it was like a very unpredictable year and things like that. But I don't know. I'm hoping obviously we get into finals. I'm not going to reach for top 4. Hopefully anywhere between, 6th and 8th will be amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a dynamic thing. I don't know if it's an attitude problem, but I just feel like, I know we haven't even entered round one yet, but where's the hunger? I'm looking for that hunger, like the fans have. Like, I don't know. Could be overthinking it in my head, but.
Well, most Saints fans are kind of born that way, so it's only natural. Are you nervous about round one against Collingwood? Or you're like, this is going to be we're going to start the year with an 8-goal win percentage. We'll probably be top 4 after round one, and we can all get the champagne out.
Look, I would love that. I am going to go into the game with some positivity, but Collingwood, they look all right. They look okay. So I think that's why I'm a little bit freaked out. And Dacos is just an absolute jet.
He's a freak. Yeah.
He is nuts. And I think that one player, like, he's going to be the Sam Walsh of Collingwood. He's going to be the Steele of Collingwood. Like, they've just got so many big names. And I am nervous. I think that they might even be on par with us this year. I feel like, no, you don't reckon?
I think you're going a bit too pessimistic there, but I'll let you have your thoughts.
Maybe it's the traumatic stress from 2010 that gives me a little bit of fear.
Probably, yeah. 12 years later.
Yeah, I'm still suffering. I still have nightmares about it every night. But I don't know. I am nervous, but fingers and toes crossed, because I'm going to be there with, decked out Saints gear head to toe. So I'm hoping they'll be celebratory bevies rather than drowning sorrows in bevies. So
hopefully. Well, give me the ladder position, like, that will finish at the end of the year. You said 6th to 8th or something?
Yeah, let's say 6th. Let's be positive.
Yep. Okay.
Let's be positive. I'm going to, love my boys through and through, so I'm going to say 6th.
All right. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I'll hold you to that. I think I've tipped 6th, and I think most Saints I've spoken to around that mark as well, which is pretty good. I'll take 6th.
It is good. I'd be stoked with, even if we just, those near misses, if, we can walk away from every game, and obviously, we're not going to we're going to lose some games. But if every game we can pull out some positives and there are no near misses like we had a lot of last year. So I think if we can tick that off the list, then it's a successful year in my eyes.
Perfect. Well, there we go. We ended it on some optimism. It got pretty dark halfway through, but we went out and we're seeing the light now. So thanks for coming on.
It's a Saints roller coaster.
Yeah, always. Thanks for jumping on, Catherine.
Thank you.
Chat to you soon. See ya.
Bye.
All right, we're going to grab Cardi now. Hey, mate.
G'day, Jake. How are we, mate?
I'm pretty good. How are you feeling? Pumped for the year?
Yeah, pretty pumped. I think, I've got a bit of optimism for this year. I think we should have a good season, hopefully.
Why should we have a good season?
Well, I just feel like after the last 2 years, like we've got a pretty good list, and I think we'll rise back into this. Like I think, you see Melbourne, like in 2019 they fell, then 2020 they rose back up. 2021 won the flag. I think we could do potentially something similar to that, or just at least have a crack this year. Not for the flag, not maybe top 4, but definitely we should be making finals.
Yeah. Do you think we have the tools, the potential A graders like Melbourne did to make that climb? Because I know I've spoken to Essendon fans, Richmond fans, and I say that like Melbourne did it. Why can't we? And then they always come back and say, well, they had Oliver, they had Gawn, they had Petrarca, Brayshaw. They had players already. Do you see players in our squad already that can really make that jump to, say, an A grade?
We definitely need players to step up. Like I think someone like Gresham, Bradley Hill, he looked pretty good against the Bombers. If he can have a lot more of a consistent year this year, other than unlike 2021 where the first half of the year he was just not performing to his standards. And like Billings as well, he can still take it to the next step. Hunter Clark, if players like that can take to the next step this year, I reckon you never know, we could maybe pull off a Melbourne, but yeah.
You've been to both preseason games, haven't you? Yeah, I saw you. You did vlogs on both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see any clear differences in the way we were trying to play, or was it hard to tell? Because it is preseason. But did you notice anything that we're trying to do?
I didn't notice much. To be like, I saw we spread the ball a lot better against the Bombers. Like ball movement in the first half, I was pretty happy with that. But yeah, I didn't see too much, but it's the pre-season, so can't take too much out of that.
Fitness-wise, though, I know we've got Nick Walsh. He came on board, the new fitness guy. That was kind of a bit of an issue for us last year, running out games. Do you think against the Bombers they worked their way back into the game because of fitness, or do you think we just kind of got a bit lazy towards the end of the game?
I feel like fitness is a worry, but I don't necessarily think fitness is too much of an issue against the Bombers. I think it was just more the fact it was a practice game. We didn't really want to, go all in when it didn't really matter. Like we wanted to maybe rest a couple players and not get too many injuries, even though we ended up with a couple.
Yeah, we get injuries anyway,
which wasn't ideal. But well, I guess we'll find out at the start of the season, like the first 5 or 6 rounds, if fitness really is an issue or not. But I think from our first 5 weeks, I think we need to at least go 3-2, 4-1 after round 5.
Yeah. Well, what are our first 5? We've got Collingwood, we've got Fremantle, Richmond, and then
Hawthorn and Gold Coast.
Yeah. So realistically,
we should be winning 3 or 4 of those.
You should be winning. If you're any less than 3-2,
then I'd almost
you're in trouble, because after that we're away to GWS, which won't be easy. It's never easy. And then we've got Port, and it's not at Marvel again. It's at Kazali Stadium. They love doing that to us. And then, of course, we've got a stretch of the reigning premier at the G, Geelong, and then Adelaide. But it's in Adelaide. So Adelaide is probably a 5-goal better team than when they travel.
Yeah, anything could happen.
And then North, who, I don't know. Jason Horne-Francis probably kicks 10. We don't know.
Exactly. So I definitely feel like our start to the season's critical. Like if we can start 4-1, and let's just say we went 5-0. I reckon we have a much better chance coming into like the Giants Port games with the confidence that we are 5-0.
Yeah.
Unless we're like 2-3, that's a bit different.
Yep. And say we're playing the Melbournes, the Geelongs, and then there's, Jack Still's having a quiet patch. They're keeping him quiet. He's our star. He's the one that gets us going. If he's not going, who would you be looking to kind of take the mantle and lift the team? Who would be that next leader in line? Would it be someone like a Marshall? Would it be Membry?
I reckon
Even Kingy?
Someone like a Membry, I reckon. Like he's lifted himself in the last couple of years. I'm pretty sure he's in our leadership group, isn't he?
Yeah, so is he vice captain or Dukes?
I think
joint
Dukes,
vice captain.
Not 100% sure. I know he's part of it though. I think someone like a Membry. He's definitely got the potential to step up in terms of like when we're down and out and Steele's not having a great patch of form, he can bring things around, I reckon.
Yep. And ladder position. I think I've watched your season preview, but I can't remember what you put us at. I'm pretty sure you put us in the 8.
I did put us in the 8. And I feel like I slightly underrated us or slightly had us a little bit lower just so I didn't get all the garbage in the comment section. But I probably reckon, yeah, definitely us. I've seen other people predict us finishing like 6th to 8th, but realistically, we could finish anywhere between 5th to even 13th. Like it wouldn't shock us if we just have another garbage season with all the hype coming into this one. Yeah. Well, I'll go 7th spot.
Yeah, I'll take 7th. I've gone 6th and that's with kind of, have a decent run at injuries and not having to play, no offense, but not putting Tom Campbell in the number 1 ruck position for 10 weeks. He can come in and support someone, but like round 1 last year, our ruck stocks, I think we went into that game against GWS with Paul Hunter and McKernan, maybe?
Yeah, and we didn't have Max King either. So
no Max King, no rucks. Gresh played, but then the next week he was gone. So if we can just get a decent run, we'll be all right. But Collingwood is where it starts. Are you confident that we'll at least start the year with a bang, or is it going to be one of those nerve-wracking games?
I'm confident it'll be a win, but part of me feels like it won't be one of those like smashings or a dominating win. I reckon Collingwood will sort of take it up to us, and it'll be like a 2 to 3 goal win. We sort of like have a dominant like second, third quarter, Pies come back, something similar to the last year. But hopefully that's not the case, and it's a nice, easy 5-6+ goal win, and we start off the season with a bang.
Right, I'm hoping you're right, mate. But thanks for jumping on late notice. I know you're
no worries.
20 minutes ago, but yeah, appreciate your thoughts.
Yep, cheers.
Thanks, mate. All right, we've got Nathan, we've got Thomas, and we've got Tom. So we'll go with Nathan. He's been waiting. Hey, mate.
Hey, Jacob.
How's it going? Yep.
Yeah, well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, it's good chatting to some Sainers. Pretty good positive vibes, I think, at the moment.
Good to hear people's opinions. Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, yeah, well, thank you. Just preparing my diligent notes before we jumped into it.
Oh, yeah? You got notes there, do you?
Yeah, well, I just had to take a leaf out of Marshy's book and just make sure I came really prepared.
Oh, I reckon Marshy just says that on the podcast. I've never even seen his notes. I reckon he's just taking the piss there. What do your notes say? Are they all pretty positive notes? Give us a few.
They're pretty positive. I like the depth that we've got at either end of the ground, both key position and those small, medium-sized players inside both ends. I think my one concern is pretty similar to the concern that most sort of pundits seem to have, is just that do we have enough around the middle of the ground to compete with the best teams? And it's really going to test us early on in the season with Hunter Clark not being available. And I think we really were sort of hoping for a big year from him, and we just sort of hope that doesn't lead to, the sort of horror show he had in 2021 where he just couldn't get out there. And, Gresham, hopefully he looks fully fit and ready to roll, but it's been basically 2 years since he's had a good run at it as well. And obviously Jones potentially not being available for round 1 is going to hurt us as well. So I would say that 3 or 4 guys who are part of, I guess, that first choice midfield group there are some sort of question marks over it. And if we've got enough to cover, particularly if we get one more injury, even I would be pretty concerned about the midfield. I'm sure Joyce is probably bemoaning the fact that Seb Ross is pretty much a walk-up start for the moment.
Yeah. Oh, he sends me a text every day. He's like, is Jonesy back yet? Is Jonesy back yet? Yeah. Do you think Seb's going to start at the bounce, isn't he, round one? And obviously we're not dissing Seb. He's been a great player for us, but is there anyone else that could go in there that can support Steely and Crouch? Some people have said, why not just sacrifice Sinks and put him in there for a little bit? But he's so good at half back, you can't afford that.
No, I don't think it really works. I think he's really found his position, and I think we've found with guys like Battle, just trying to throw him around to plug holes, it can really sort of upset. It takes like a certain sort of player to be that sort of really malleable to be able to sort of play anywhere. So I don't think that's the solution. Unfortunately, I think it just sort of means we're going to have to ride the wave. We're just going to have to play who we've got. It means playing Seb in the guts for a lot of the game. It means, we're going to rely on Gresh and Crouch and Steele just until Clark comes back, until Jones comes back. I'm not really sure what to go with Bytel is at the moment. Is he injured?
I read online from Asana that he's just had a little bit of a niggle. I don't think it's anything major, but I think it's just not playing the preseason games just to see if he's right for round one. But I doubt he plays against Collingwood without having a few games under his belt. What about it's an interesting one. No one really talks about it, but there's Mason Wood, who actually played pretty well against Essendon. And he was playing well last year before he got injured, to be honest. And then you've got Sharman, and then you've got Jack Hayes now. And they're all almost fighting for that third or fourth tall in the team, right?
Yeah.
Who would you pick at the moment? Because I know I'm tipping that Rats is going to pick Jack Hayes and potentially Wood and leave Sharman out. But we've all been so excited about Sharman.
Yeah, I would probably do the same. I really like Cooper Sharman as well, and I like that he's a sort of stay-at-home forward. But in saying that, I'm going to be very hypocritical straight away because I really like the fact that Mason Wood can get up the ground, and I think he plays that connecting forward role really well.
Yeah.
He plays that role that I think we sort of looked at our screens and groaned a bit that Tom Lynch at Adelaide plays really well. That sort of connecting forward, that lead up forward who gets on the ball around the wing and then does well with the ball sort of as that next kick as well, which is a really important position in my view. And we need someone to support Marshall, particularly if Ryder's not fit for round one, which means that Hayes essentially has to play. So I think, unfortunately, just due to team balance, that Cooper Sharman probably misses out for round one, but I'm sure he'll get his chance during the season.
Yeah. The Smalls. I haven't asked anyone tonight about this, but the form of Jack Higgins last year was great. He came in, I think he kicked 27 goals, which was excellent. We've got Gresh back, who's supposedly going to play more forward, but because Billings is out, I'm assuming, because Clark and now Jones are out, Gresh is going to probably have to play more midfield minutes. And then Butler, his form from 2020 to 2021, not the best. Do you think Butler's ready to get back to that form? Is there anything in the offseason you saw that gives you kind of some trust that we're going to see the Butler of 2020?
Yeah, I think it was our first goal against Essendon was one of those classic goals from 2020 where we just sort of got the ball out over the back. And I think that is promising just because it really seems conducive to the way he plays, being able to use his pace to just get over the back and finish off. So I think that's something that we should, as a team, be looking for. Obviously, use King as the centerpiece of all that. You just kick it to him and sort of hope that Butler's there at the feet. But obviously, defenders are going to be aware of that's going to be the go. But just plays like that I think are promising for his form. Yeah.
Yep. And our coach also haven't been spoken about tonight. Is he under pressure this year?
if he can't bridge the gap between our best and our worst, then I would say he will come under pressure. I think a real gripe that a lot of us have had over the last few years, whether it be under Richo or under Rats, is the gulf between our best and worst is probably
It's huge.
the biggest in the competition. When we're on, we look great and we look like we can beat anyone. But when we're off, some of those performances last year against Richmond, against
The Dogs.
the Bulldogs, just shocking. So if he's unable to bridge the gap between some of our best and worst football, then I would say he's under pressure. Yeah.
Yep. Now for some positives. I guess, we'll rule out Steely because obviously Steely's everyone loves Steely, and Kingy potentially. Who is next in line as kind of the one player that you're really excited to see this year? The one player that you think could really take his game to the next level?
Let's go with Rowe. I think Paddy's approaching the end, and he's been fantastic for us. But I think it's really there for Marshall to grip the primary sort of ruck position this year. I'd love to see Paddy sort of rest forward. He's got that ability to really take a great mark deep, and I think it would be a great opportunity this season for Marshall to really start to overtake Paddy Ryder as the primary ruckman of the team. Like, he looked great against Essendon. He looked a class above Draper, who people really seem to rate. So, I'm going to say Marshall.
And the best thing about Rowe is, he can go forward, kick goals, but he just gets around the ground. Like, I don't think many people talk about his endurance, but the fact that I think he got 24 disposals against Essendon, and it seemed like he was playing out of his skin. He just kind of knew where to find the ball. He just has a good sense of the game. I did notice, though, in the couple of preseason games that our mids, although even when our rucks were winning the taps, our mids weren't really reading off the tap as well as the opposition. And I noticed that a lot against Carlton. Do you think we need, if Rowe and Paddy aren't rucking, say it's Tom Campbell or we throw in Jack Hayes, do we start just trying to rove off the opposition? Because I feel like we always try to rove off our own player and we don't try to shark off the opposition's ruckman.
You must have my notes in front of you, JB.
Have you got that?
The clearances is something that I think is probably our biggest issue. Just had a quick look at the stats from last year. For example, the Bulldogs had 3 players in the top 11 for clearances. We had 3 in the top 75, and one of them was Luke Dunstan, who's not on our list anymore.
What was Steele rated?
Steele was 14, and I think Brad Crouch was maybe 38 or something like that. So they're probably our 2 best sort of inside players, and I just don't know if it's a personnel issue with winning the ball out of the centre, because I would say that Ryder is an excellent tap ruckman, but it doesn't quite seem to translate in us leading the clearances. So I'm not sure. Maybe we do need to be a bit more conservative in our centre bounce tactics to try and cover off on the opposition getting a clean centre clearance.
And we've been missing Gresh for the last 2 years. He's only played like 12 games out of the possible 40 or whatever we've played. He would be one that could come in and really ramp up in the clearances, because I think even in 2020 when he played about 8 or 9 games and then he did his back, I think, after the Geelong game, I think he was, by the end of the year, he was still top 5 for clearances at the club, and he missed half the season. So could Gresh be that guy that could help in that clearance department?
Yeah, definitely. I think as much as he's sort of dynamic as a forward, I think we really need that sort of burst out of the centre. So I would be looking for him to play more as a forward with the with Higgins and Butler as like permanent small forwards, and then you roll through. Maybe that's an opportunity for some younger guys to sort of roll into the team, playing half forward a little bit and rotating through the centre with Gresh. But I would like to see Gresham primarily as an on-baller rather than a forward this year.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to get your wish, because we've got the injuries in the engine room now. So I think it's kind of forced Ratz's hand, and he's going to have to play Gresh in the middle, which, to be honest, it's not a bad problem. Like, if that's our biggest problem at the moment, we're going okay. We should have Clark and Billings back in about 4 to 5 weeks. So we've only really got the one long-term injury. So I think Saints fans are just very sensitive about injuries in general because of just the history of it, right? We've had Patton, Rowe, Max King gets hit in the head with a golf ball. Like you literally can't script that stuff in a movie, and it happens to us. But based on everything so far, the preseason, the injuries, where are we finishing on the ladder in 2022?
I won't say sixth just because I think that's what everyone said so far. So I'll be a bit more optimistic and I'll go with fifth. We've got a pretty soft draw to start the season. I would like to see us win just about all of those games, even with the handful of injuries that we've got. And then hopefully, the troops are back for that sort of run that I think you spoke to with the previous person about. We've got to play Melbourne, we've got to play Port Adelaide and travel interstate a couple of times. So a good start with the softer schedule is vital. And if we can get through that and then get some guys back, fifth.
And you mentioned the run there, and when I was talking to Cardi just before, I forgot to mention, but that's to me how Melbourne really got going last year. Was I think they won like the first 9, and I think they were going for 10 or 11 in a row, but that's when Adelaide beat them by under a kick. Momentum's a crazy thing in footy, isn't it? So if we do get to round 5 and we're 5-0 and we're playing Melbourne at the G, maybe they're 5-0 too or something. Couldn't that like just like that's huge? We haven't had belief in our club in a long time. Like the players running out and knowing that they're going to be good enough to win. We haven't had that, have we?
No, the whole 2010s really was you go out with not really expecting and you're not playing, I guess, with that belief that you can mix it with the top teams. So hopefully the guys have banked some of what happened in 2020 and we can not write off 2021, but there was clearly some stuff that didn't go our way last year. And like you mentioned, fitness was a big element of that. I think some of the staffing in that department turned over immediately as soon as the season ended. So hopefully, we get that sort of stuff right from the outset and we get a few wins on the board and they do have some of that belief that we can, really mix it with some of the best teams this year.
Yeah, well, thanks for your time, mate. I love you've got the notes, calm and collected. You should be part of the coaching panel or something, mate. You're just level-headed. It's just perfect.
You've clearly got the in there at the club, mate. So just let them know.
Yeah. Next time I'm down there in the marketing team, I'll be like, you know what, this guy Nathan, he knows his stuff. I think I'll be asking for a job first, but anyway. Thanks for your time, mate, and hopefully I'll see you at the footy. See you,
Cheers.
mate.
Go Saints.
Go Saints. All right. Lastly, Thomas, mate, is your internet good?
Yeah, but the camera's not too nice, but well.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, no lag though. That's what that's important. So you've had enough time to listen to everyone else. Good 55 minutes of everyone else's thoughts.
That's all right.
Did they hit the nail on the head? Do you feel the same way, or have you got some fresh thoughts? Are you negative or positive?
I can see that there's a few negative ones, but I don't want to be saying I'm optimistic, but I feel like I am this year. Just going to the preseason game, you'd see some of the fans I was sitting next to. I was in aisle 29 actually. I was sitting there next to some guys, and there was some people like, "Oh, same old Saints when Essendon were coming back," and I just cringed from that a bit. Like I just feel like something's different this year, and I just feel like since we've got depth, some of these new players are really going to bring something this year.
Yeah. So is your big take, your big, I guess, positive push, I'll call it, from the youth that's coming through? That's where you really see that they can take us to the 8?
Yeah. No, I'm pretty keen on Ryan Burns, like you, of course, and all that, Maxi King and all that. Higgins is still really young. Like, really, I think they can do something this year. And they look pretty impressive in that first half. And you could see in the second half, they did rest players. They did bring in the younger players as well. I don't think that's too much of a worry yet, but yeah, of course you've got to be a bit nervous anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you optimistic about round 1? Do you think that we'll get the chocolates and get them well? Or is your opinion round 1, just get the win, even if it's ugly, just start the year with a W and move on?
Yeah, I think if we can just get the win, get a good start of the year, even if it's just a 2-goal, 3-goal win, it'll still be good to get on the board straight away. because we need that going into a few hard games later in the year. We need these easy ones to just work.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
And the young kids coming through, we've got Owens, obviously, Bytel, Connolly, people haven't mentioned because he's been injured, but he's one that I was really excited about to see how he goes. Sharman, Windhager now, Malira. Like our under 22 brigade is pretty ridiculous. Obviously, King's a part of that. Aside from King, who's your like main pick out of that bunch of young kids that could play a lot of games this year and be really good?
Oh, I love Sharman, of course. You got to see. I reckon he's just going to have to do something. He can play that role like when Rowan Marshall was a deep forward and Paddy's in the ruck. If Paddy can't play this year much, I think Cooper Sharman can really do something there. I really think he's got that talent, and he kicked a bag in that last half of the year. So
yeah, he did.
Yeah, that'd be good as. Yeah, definitely.
Do you think he's capable of kicking a good 30 goals this year? Because I feel like if we are to climb the ladder, we need more than just King, right? We need Membra to kick 30. We need a good spread because every top team has 4 players that's kicked over 25, 30 goals. Is he one of them?
Yeah, if we can get him in the side, I hope we can. But obviously, Jack Hayes might be that pick above him for now. But yeah, I think he can definitely get a few on the board. Hopefully, I think Higgins and Butler together might be able to do something. Billings as well, especially if he can come back. I hope he does, because if we have all them together, really, that's a pretty good forward line. Gresham and Billings, they're still high draft picks. They really should be able to do something, I reckon. And Butler, I just feel like he can turn it around this year. I really reckon he can. I hope so.
Yeah, well, I mean, last year, I think during the year I was a bit harsh on him, and I thought, well, he's not playing the way that we all wanted him to because he had such a good year the year before, right? But then I've spoken to a few people, and you look at his stats, and last year he had as many tackles, as many score involvements. He just didn't hit the scoreboard. And I guess as a small forward, that's kind of your number one job is to score. And he wasn't doing that, but he did everything else right. So it kind of makes you think that it'd be pretty easy for him to just start kicking goals again, and then the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, I feel like if he can keep getting into that space, getting where the ball drops up from King and all that, I reckon he can get back on the board and hopefully show some more good form. With Higgins especially, they'll work together well.
Absolutely. And in my preseason video, I said, if we can get 100 goals out of Gresh, Billings, Higgins, and Butler, that's that's huge. We'd probably make top 8 easily with that, plus King and Membry and Rowe.
Yeah, together that's a lot of goals. Yeah, exactly.
That's a lot of goals. Do you think that's the one thing we need to start doing more this year is just kicking more goals, like kicking 15, trying to get to that 15 goal a week, and that wins us more games, or defending better?
Nah, definitely kicking more goals, I reckon. Like in 2020, I think we really need to start leveling our heads when we're going in 50 again. If we can start dropping ahead and hitting that target way quicker than, I know a bomb's always how it goes, but if we can do that, well, like we did in 2020, it'll be huge, because I remember hearing stats in 2020, like up forward, we kicked the most goals out any team from 10 to 15 metres out from the goals. So, if we can do that, that's going to be huge.
We're making it look easy in 2020, Give me your top 2 most exciting things you're looking forward to in the year, and then end it on ladder position where you think we'll finish for the season.
I think King's going to do it. I reckon he can really put himself top 4, top 3 in that Coleman this year and really show the AFL what he can do. And Sinclair, I think he can be All-Australian. He has the greatest timing off the ball, off the halfback, and I think that can work really well from him. Definitely, those 2 will be huge, I reckon, going into the season. And, don't want to say 6th like the rest of them, but if we can scrape into the 8, that'd be huge. It doesn't matter if it's 8th. I really think.
Just say 4th. Just say 4th.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Double chance. Yeah. I just want to go.
That'd be unreal. Imagine us 4th, Melbourne 1st. That'd be the biggest qualifying final ever.
Oh, no, that'd be absolutely huge. Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, that's the best part about these chats is nothing's happened yet, so we can just say whatever we want because we're not wrong yet. You know?
Yeah, we can just take a guess.
Take a guess. Yep. All right, mate. Well, I'll leave it there. I appreciate you jumping on and waiting a good 50 minutes for your turn and sticking around. So
thanks a lot for that. Good. Yeah, good to come on for the first time. Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. See ya. Alrighty. Well, there we have it, Saners. We've gone through, I don't know how many there were, but everyone had a different opinion apart from ladder position. Sixth is the key one there, but nonetheless, we're all looking forward to it. Round 1 next week, 8 days away against Collingwood at Marvel Stadium, 7:50 p.m. I'll be there. I'll be doing my live review, but in between then, I'll be doing my live preview and a couple of videos to pump up the year as well. So appreciate all of you jumping on and having a chat, and I'll see you guys in the next video. But until then, go you mighty Saners. See you guys.